Hi, this is Rebecca Donald. I'm the director of the library here at Trinity. And this is a workshop on how to use Zotero, which is a program for creating citations and bibliographies. And I've also found it's very good for organizing your research, keeping everything saved in one place and being able to find it easily. This is a recorded version of the live sessions we've been doing the last couple of weeks. We wanted to do something for people who aren't able to make the live sessions, but also respect the privacy of the people that are at the live sessions. So we decided to do one that didn't have anyone in there. It's just me talking, which is a little bit more weird. But I'll try and cover the same stuff, and I'll share my screen now, in fact. Okay. So actually the first thing I wanted to make sure, so I don't forget at the end, is to show our contact information. If you go to Ask a Librarian on the library homepage, here's my contact information in particular at the top. You can also contact under research help there. So Zotero can be hard to use at the beginning, so I'll be walking you through some of the steps of it, but if you actually want some one-on-one help with it, we can do that. And me in particular, I've used Zotero a lot, so I could set up a Zoom one-on-one meeting with you and walk through how to use Zotero. Like I mentioned, Zotero is hard to use at the beginning. There's a learning curve. And in fact, when I was working on my master's thesis here, I didn't use it, or actually I think I started using it for my thesis, and I wish I'd used it more throughout my master's because it does save you time in the long run. It can be more time up front to learn it, but it does save you time in the long run, especially with being able to make citations and bibliographies a lot faster. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do is if you go to the library homepage, under research help, you can go to citation and formatting. And then down on the left, on the bottom, near the bottom, there's a link to Zotero. And then there's a link to download it, but I'll be going to the tutorial here. Let me pull it up really quick up here too. So I'll be walking through this. So a lot of the information I'm going to share today is on this tutorial. So that's another way to refer to if you just want to quickly see how to add Turabian, for example. Okay. So the first thing I want to do if you've never used Zotero before is go and download it. It's a free program that you'll download. You can also go directly here if you ever want to by just going to zotero.org. So you'll have two things you need to download. First, you need to download the program for Windows, and then you also need to download the connector. And this will get a plugin for your browser. So when you're searching, you'll be able to just hit a button and it will save it to save whatever you're looking at to Zotero. It will also download a connector for Word, for Microsoft Word. So as long as you use Word for writing your papers, you can, it'll let you very easily insert citations and insert your bibliography at the end, which I'll show you. There's also ways to do it with Google Docs. I've had varying success using that. I can also show you how to do it manually, like copy and paste from Zotero into Google Docs, which is what I've done more often. Okay, so I already have these downloaded on my computer, so I won't walk through how to do that. But once you've downloaded it, you should be able to open the program. And here is my Zotero program. And by the way, whenever you're searching on the internet and you find something you want to save, make sure you have the Zotero program open in the background. Otherwise, it'll ask you to log into the web version, which the web version is good. It gives you another option for saving, especially if you're not on your own computer. Like if I'm using a public computer in the library, I'll use that. But if I'm on my own computer, the actual program here is easier to use than the web version. Okay. Speaking of the web version, when you first use Zotero, it's good to set up your syncing. That way it'll save all of your items up into the cloud. And that way, if you do go to another computer, you can access it there, or if something happens to your computer, you haven't lost it. So to do that, you can go to Edit and then Preferences and then Sync under there. And the first time you're in here, if you haven't created an account, there will be a Create an Account option, and you can click on that and you'll just sign up for the username and password that you want. So I have one that's synced there already. So, and over here, this green arrow, there's a little warning. This green arrow, you can click that and it'll sync, but it should be automatically syncing it pretty frequently as well. Okay. Let me try actually now saving something into Zotero so you can see what that looks like. So if you're searching, and the library website is one of the best places to do it, it works well with that. You can also, if you find it like on Amazon, a book on Amazon or on Google Books, or if you find articles on the internet, usually it will recognize those and download it as well. You'll just want to make sure, I'll be showing you how to check and make sure that it's not missing any information or has bad punctuation or something. So I'm doing research this semester for a class on diversity in higher education. So I'll just try to search for that. Okay, this first one is a journal. I'll do this next one, which is a book. So you want to click on whatever it is, your book or your article, so you can get into the, so you're just looking at that and not a long list. Then up near the address bar, if you have the plugin downloaded, it should show a blue book. If you're on a book, it'll show a white piece of paper if you're looking at an article. And if it thinks it's a web page, it'll look more like a blue sheet of paper. Let's go back here. Or here, if it's a whole list of things, it'll do a folder. And then I think it'll download everything on this page into the folder. I usually don't do that. I don't think I've ever done that. So I usually go into the book and then click on this book icon, and then we'll save it to Zotero. And it saves it to whatever folder you were in last. So I'll show you the folders in here. Right now I was just in the general My Library folder, so that's where it saved it to over here. And everything gets saved there. And then over on the left, you can organize it by folders. So I've done like different folders for my different classes, or right now I'm working on my dissertation. So I have different aspects of my dissertation topic I've split out there. So to create a folder, up in the top left, there's a little folder icon. So you can click on that and that'll let you name a new collection. And then you can just drag the book into the folder. Let's see, I have one here on the topic, so diversity in higher ed. And you can do it in more than one folder. It can be in multiple ones. So I think this is it right here. Okay. It's also a good thing when you first go in, after you save it, to just check and make sure it saved the information correctly. For example, right here, I think this is a subtitle, so it probably needs a colon here. So it didn't pull that in. Sometimes it'll also pull in extra punctuation. I think it's better in this catalog, but our old version of our catalog would have a backslash at the end of the title. Sometimes it'll have punctuation after the publisher or the year. So I just check those things. And sometimes I found, like if I'm searching in Amazon, it won't pull in the publisher or the place, something like that. So then I have to go and look up and see if I can find that and add it in there. Okay. Okay, let's try searching for an article similarly. Actually, here's an article right underneath it. So we'll do the same thing here. Okay. It still looks like it thinks it's a book, but this should hopefully save it as an article. Let's see. And now it's saving it to the diversity in higher ed folder because that was the last one I was in. Okay, yeah, it looks like it recognized it as an article. It has the white piece of paper here, High Impact Journal article. Again, I'll just check and make sure it has the important information, like volume, issue, page numbers. Yeah, this one looks good. Publication would be the journal title. All right, now let's look at how we would use it in Word. I'll open up a Word document. So let's say you're writing your paper and you want to put in a citation. You can go up, and as long as you've downloaded the plugin, there should be a link for Zotero there. And then you can go and add a citation. And you'll choose your citation style that you use. So for TIU, most of the programs will use the TIU style is based on both Chicago and Turabian. Turabian's a version of Chicago. So for most programs where you use footnotes, you'll use the Chicago Manual of Edition style, 17th edition full note. So you can choose that one, and I'll do the footnotes. A few of the programs like EDS and ICS use author date parenthetical style, so you can choose that. There's also a Turabian version, 9th edition, that's the same thing as the author date, and I can show you how to download that later. But again, most of you will be using the full note version here. Okay, then I'll pull up a search box where you can search for, if you remember something about the title or the author, you can start searching for that in here. So I think this Diversity in American Higher Education is the one I found before. So you can click on that. And then if you want to add a page number for your citation, you can click on it. You can put a page number in there. And then you just press enter twice. And it should insert the footnote. There it is. And it's formatted in footnote style. So Zotero is especially helpful if you're using footnotes, because when I was doing footnote style, it was a real pain to like format the footnote in a certain way, and then your bibliography you have to format a different way. Okay. All right, so you can go through your paper and add all your different footnotes. And then when you get to the very end of your paper and you're adding your bibliography or your reference list, you can go back to the Zotero tab and add bibliography. Then we'll take everything that you cited in your paper and turn it into the bibliography there at the end. And it should update as well. Like if you add a citation or remove a citation, it should remove it from your list. To make sure, you can go in here and go to refresh, and then it should refresh it. You can also, if you want to change things about this, like if you notice in here that something's wrong, like the punctuation's off or anything, you can change it here. However, it's usually better to go back to Zotero and change it in here and then refresh it in there. That way it won't go back here and pull up the wrong thing again. And if you ever are using it again for a different paper, it'll be correct. Okay, so that's the basics of how to use Zotero. Let me look at some of the other things that would be good for you to know. Okay. I had mentioned that you could add a couple styles that aren't default in Zotero. For example, some of like the Old Testament and New Testament programs use SBL. So you can add that. And ICS and EDS use Turabian 9th edition author date style. So both of those are ones that you can add. To do that, you go back to the Edit Preferences folder or file, and then go to Cite. And then here's the ones I currently have, and I can go to Get Additional Styles and then search for it here. So for example, I could search for Turabian, and then Turabian 9th edition author date. One of the students here actually designed this style and made it work with Zotero. Unfortunately, nobody's done that yet for the footnote style. So I'd recommend using the Chicago instead of Turabian for that. Okay, so then you can just click on that and install it. And it should be in my list now. There it is. Okay. We looked at how you could download books and articles from websites, but if you ever want to create a record manually, for example, you have the book right in front of you. Even in those cases, if I have the book right in front of me, I'll still usually go to the library website and pull it up that way, because I find it easier to just click the button rather than entering all the information. But if you want to, you can go to the plus sign here, and then you can click on book, book section, which is a chapter in a book. A document, which is a website or a journal article. Those are the most common ones. You can go to more if you want to see more options there too. Like maybe a dictionary entry, or you might want to do. Okay. And then once you click on that, you can enter in all the information like the title, the author. You just click on the different ones. So you'll just want to make sure you get the most important information in there, like the title, author, place, publisher, date for a book are the most important. Okay. Let's see what else. While we're on that topic, actually, if you want to cite a book that does have a lot of different chapters in it by different authors, then you're supposed to cite it, each chapter and author separately. So to do that, you can cite it as a book section. And in some of our databases, you might be able to find a record for the chapter in the book, but usually I just find the book and then I create it from there. So to do that, I click on the book that has the chapter I'm interested in citing. I'll click on that and then I right click on it to duplicate it. That way I'll still have the original book if I want to use that in the future. So I'll duplicate it. And then over here on the right, I'll change it from the item type from book to book section. And then it changes the title of this becomes the book title. And you'll put the title of the chapter that you're citing in here. And probably at this point, you might also want to change these to editor, if they're the editor of the whole book, or if they're more of an author of the whole book, you can put book author. And then you would want to add the author of that chapter. So let's change all these to editor. And then if you added just author, that would be the author of that book section. And you'll also need to add the page numbers for that chapter down here. That's basically how you add a title of a chapter. The same thing actually if you want to create an entry for in a reference book that has an author for each entry, which some like Bible dictionaries do that. Same thing, you can just go in here and change it to dictionary entry or something instead. And again, put the title of that entry, put the author of that entry in there, and the page numbers. Okay. I had mentioned that you can also manually create bibliographies in here or citations. To do that, you can just go in here and select the items you want to cite. For example, if I wanted to cite these. Oops. So you hold down the control key as you click on each one. And then you can right click on it and create bibliography from items. So it'll take those three. Again, I'll do the full note Chicago style. And you can either choose the notes, which is the style, formatting it for your footnote, or you can do bibliography, which is the bibliography for the end. And then make sure you have copy to clipboard chosen. And then, for example, I'll do this in Google Docs. Then I'll just go in there and paste, and we'll paste all the citations for that. And you might need to fix some of the formatting here, like it kind of did weird indenting and stuff. But you get the citations that way. Okay, I think that's most of the things that are on the tutorial. We do have, let me go back to the tutorial really quick. And the tutorial for Zotero. We do have some helpful or troubleshooting down here. So one of the common things we've had is people can't get, are not having the Zotero tab show up in Word. So there's some, I usually, when people have that problem, I'll walk them through these guides on how to do it. So you can contact me if you want me to walk you through it, or you can try this yourself as well. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be good to share. Like I said, there's a learning curve with this, but once you learn it, it gets a lot easier. Oh, one other thing I found helpful. A nice thing in here is that if you save the article or book, article, I guess, and the full text is available in one of our databases, let's see if this is true, then it will pull in the full text of the article right here. So you just click the down arrow to find it. And then when you want to actually read the article, you can click that and it opens it right there. So that's really handy for if you, I would use this just to keep all my research saved and organized. And then I could just come in here when I wanted to read the articles and pull it up that way. There is a limit of space in Zotero, and then you can pay for extra space. But after that point, it'll start dropping PDFs, which I've actually reached the limit and it's done that for me. So I oftentimes try and save the article somewhere else as well. Another thing you can do is if the article was not full text, oops, I think that was one where it dropped the full text. Okay, so here's one that wasn't full text. And let's say I requested it through interlibrary loan and they got a scan of it for me from another library. Then I'll save it to my computer and then I'll go in here and attach it. So you can click the paper clip and attach stored copy of file and then just upload it there. So again, so I have it all saved in one place. I have the citation, I have the full text of the article. Some people also use the notes tab in here. I've heard some people will actually keep all their notes of when they're reading the book in there, so it's all in the same place as well. I prefer using Evernote or Google Docs to keep my notes. I find it easier to like browse and see it all in one place there. However, I do sometimes use the notes just to keep track of like where I found this source. Like if somebody else cited it, I want to remember that's how I found it, why I thought it was interesting. So sometimes I'll add notes like that to it. Someone also recommended, which I've done off and on, they, under each category, they added a read for ones that they had read and to read folder, which can be helpful because sometimes when I get a long list in here, it helps me to prioritize, like pull out these few that are the first ones I want to read and put them in the to read folder. That way I don't have to go through and remember again what each one is and which one I wanted to read most. If you do forget though, if you click on it, usually, go back to info. Okay, usually I'll have an abstract here. So I can go through those and sometimes read them to remind myself what it's about and pick out which ones I do want to read later on. Okay. I feel like there's something else I wanted to share, but I can't remember what it was right now. So again, if you want to contact me or contact the library, we can work with you more on any challenges you have. You can try it out on your own, and then if you get stuck, you can contact us and we can help you work through it. That's something I do pretty often, so I enjoy working with students on that. So hopefully this was helpful, and you can also just email me with questions you have as well. It's rldonald@tiu.edu. Back to this page. There it is. Okay, that's all.